field. Now coming up out of Canada Corner and Billy Mitchell Band, the pace car will head on in, and it's in the hands now of Michael D'Orlando, a track he loves here at Road America. Let's see what happens from the outside. We're rolling some pretty good speed through 4 already. Jace Denmark will cuddle up alongside him. The rest of the field got to get up there and get into groove. You don't want to be too far back at the start. The climb up the hill, though, crucial. They'll crest the hill and look for Aaron Likens to give us that green as we get set to go racing for the first of 4 Road to Indy races here this weekend. Field looks good. Coming up the hill, we're at it. Green, green, green. Racing in USF 2000. And it's the big, long run down the front straightaway here at Road America. Will they go 2, 3, potentially 4 wide? Count it 4 wide, a little further back. Big start, and the driver going to the lead is Billy Fraser. Fraser's gone to P1 from 3rd. Great start for Fraser in the exclusive Autosport machine. He'll lead it and run the wide line coming into turn number 3. Right there, D'Orlando sliding into 2nd. The remainder of the field coming through cleanly. Eric, strong start there for Billy Fraser.
Well, absolutely, and he's shown pace all weekend long thus far, as is Jace Denmark. Surprised that Denmark didn't get quite as good of a lift on power coming underneath the bridge to the starter stand. D'Orlando kind of got sleeping a little bit into turn 1.
Jack William Miller talking all about potentially losing wings. Here we are diving hardcore into turn number 5 right now. That opening lap, everybody trying to be smart, give each other room. Back up the hill, you can see the front group is stretched away a little bit. You'll get that as it gets a little crazier midway through. You can see 2 wide coming through turn number 6. The blind left-hander at the top of the hill under the Corvette bridge. You've got to go single file back through turn number 7. One driver quite a bit back there after some contact. Couple of dive bomb moves down the bottom in turn number 8. Yeah, a lot of action here in this opening circuit. And Eric, you've called a lot of races here. This is what you get. The opening lap, they're really one of the best opportunities to get some overtakes done.
Well, you got to make the hay while the sun shines, so to speak, here in America's Dairyland. But you've got to get your elbows up a little bit. And Jack, I would imagine here on the starts, you don't want to be too elbows up. You got to be patient. You got to keep the wings on the car, but at the same time, there's got to be that anticipation of energy just to get going.
Oh, of course, and the cars are heavy, so you're bottoming on all the curbs and really just trying to make up what you can, because once it gets set in, it can turn into single file. So you're trying to work and get all your passing done right away.
You see a bunch of moves, though, jacked out to the inside here where you show a nose to somebody. When you're doing that, it's kind of a half move, right? You're not getting it done. Are you trying to shake them up a little bit? Is it playing the head game a bit?
Yeah, of course. You can't always make those moves, and if you do, you will end up running into them. But it's more of being in their mirrors and trying to force them to miss an apex or something that can set you up for the next straightaway.
Yeah, it's not just about speed. It's about strategy. It's about playing the mental game. It's about working over the driver in front of you. Billy Fraser will lead the opening lap here in the number 92. Miles Rowe sliding into 2nd. Michael D'Orlando 3rd. Here's D'Orlando looking to the inside of Rowe in 1. Not quite. D'Orlando, who started on the poles, fall back into that 3rd spot. He's starting to show a little bit of anxiety, wants to push his way forward. D'Orlando in 3rd, Denmark 4th, Dylan Christie up to 5th on the opening lap. And again, they're side-by-side racing through turn number 3. D'Orlando on the outside, Rowe on the inside. Hold your breath, Eric, through that corner side by side.
And it's one of those corners where it looks a lot wider than it really feels sometimes in the cockpit, and you get a really good run on the outside. The problem is getting yourself out of position when you come back through into turn 5.
Big battle and further back, Jace Denmark in the 23 and Dylan Christie going at it. There's a run there with Burke and Lee. Trey Burke having a good run here, the number 63 for Joe Dueling Autosport with Kerb Agajanian. Burke, again, we've talked about him a little bit throughout the season. Here's a guy that, just a couple of years ago was running dirt sprint cars, decided he wanted to go road racing, learned a ton last year, and has really kind of stepped things up here in 2022 as well. His best qualifying effort for Burke. Again, qualified up into the top 10, P8, now runs 7th. So the number 63 having a good run there in his battle with Jackson Lee, the Cape Motorsports driver. But again, Fraser leading the way again, coming out of the carousel.
It was so impressive in qualifying for Fraser. He just showed a lot more pace in that Q1 session than we had seen him. And even in Q2, he showed extremely good pace, consistent throughout the entire run. I would look for him to kind of take care of the tires now that he's out front a little bit.
Yeah, exactly that. Again, and good speed through testing as well. May have had some contact further back in a couple of drivers down in the kettle bottoms. We'll see if we can. We're not going to pick it up at any other camera angles we have. We'll see if we end up going full course yellow. We may have had contact down in Kettle Bottoms. You can see that in the back part of the screen there, but we still are racing green up front here right now. No, full course yellow being thrown at start finish here indeed. Contact between a couple of drivers further back. We'll be able to figure out who it is. Guys who have fallen to the tail of the field. Yeah, there's a couple drivers together. One of them potentially Jagger Jones. Ivagor's Papa Savas, and unsure who the other driver is. Looks to be Jones is coming back across the line, so we're going to see who falls to the tail here. Papa Savas, one of the drivers involved, and it may just be one car there.
Yeah, it looked like one car spun around. It
Yeah.
looks like they made some wheel-to-wheel contact there, and there's a little bit of a zoom-in look there, but definitely Papa Zavas, looks like the only car stranded out on the race course. Everybody else coming back through to the stripe. Brianza did not start, left on pit lane.
Yeah, well, we'll see Joey. He's only doing one race this weekend. We'll see Joey Brienza in race number 2, trying to keep his rookie status. We ran one race at Indianapolis. We'll run one race here and one race at Portland as well. Wants to run for that Rookie of the Year next year. Jack, let's come back to you. We're on the yellow here right now. I want to talk a little bit about the carousel because it's a crucial corner. People don't realize how tough it is. Kind of off camber, you're rolling on that throttle. How much different is the carousel? Full tanks, good tires at the start, to empty tanks and maybe used up tires a bit at the very end.
I almost have to look at the carousel as two different turns from
Really?
when you're out by yourself and you're low on fuel and good tires. It's nearly flat out for us, and I'm sure it's the same for USF. But then when you at the start of the race and you're stuck up behind somebody, it's a completely different turn, and you're just trying to survive so you can get the draft down the back straightaway.
And let's talk about that. One of the things about USF 2000 and Indy Pro is, of course, an open wheel car. We rely a lot on downforce. A lot in Indy Pro, a lot more downforce from the wings than in USF 2000. But the minute you get behind somebody in that corner, you lose all the air off the front wing, and the thing just wants to push out on you. What do you do? You got a lot of wheel in it. Do you have to just get off the throttle and and keep the tires underneath it?
Yeah, you're modulating, and then you can also run a bit of a lower line than another guy to try and look for clean air. I'd almost compare it to like turn 1 and turn 2 at Lucas Oil Raceway. That
Really?
you can run a lower line in order to get that clean air and try and slingshot off the turn and be able to get a run on the car in front.
Indeed, the carousel is such a crucial part of this racetrack. We saw that the safety team grabbing the car of Ivagor's Papa Savas. A tough debut for the young driver who was sidelined for the start of the season after an injury in a karting event late in the season. Was super excited to get back here to Road America, and we'll run the remainder of the season here with Jay Howard Driver Development. And of course, we'll do a full campaign in 2023. So Papa Savas falls to the order. I'm not sure what happened to Jagger Jones there as well. Started P4. And Eric down into 19th. That is a tough result for the driver who comes in here P3 in points.
Not sure if he had a little bit of a off over in turn 3 at the start, but he was dropped like a brick really quickly at the start of this race. So evidently probably had a little bit of an 0-0 somewhere in the first half of the race course, because after lap 1 he was already back through the field.
Let's give you a full field rundown. Those of you who are watching online, Billy Fraser able to go to the lead on the opening lap, got a good tow down the front straightaway and put the exclusive Autosport car down to the bottom of the racetrack. Miles Rowe running in second, Michael D'Orlando in third, Jace Denmark P4, Dylan Christie in fifth, Nikita Johnson runs sixth, Trey Burke seventh, Jackson Lee, Bajoy Garg, and Thomas Naveau rounding out the top 10. Nicky Hayes, who started back in 17th, a good run for him early on up to 11th. Danny Dzelski runs in 12th. Nicholas D'Orlando as well. He started 18th. He's up 5 spots into 13th for D'Orlando. So both D'Orlando and Hayes, I'm sure, happy as we press the reset button and restack them here. Give them an opportunity to potentially get a couple of spots again. Christian Weir runs in 14th. Spike Kohlbecker 15th. Jorge Garcia's in 16th spot. Jacob Douglas up to 17th. Victor Anderson 18th. Jagger Jones still on track at 19th. As we know, Ivagor's Papa Savas out of this race as 3 laps go in the books under yellow here now. But again, Billy Fraser out front. That was a start you and I talked about. Anywhere, in the front 2 rows, front 3 rows, you can stay out of trouble. Front 2 rows, you can lead into turn number 1 because it's such a long run from the start finish down to turn number 1.
Well, again, we always talk about controlled chaos a little bit, and I'm sure Jack understands that. You got to put yourself in position, early on in qualifying, setting the pace, getting in those first 2 rows. We've seen that, 2-3 rows. Once you get to fourth row on back, it's extremely difficult just to get position going into turn one because you're going so much faster into turn one here at Road America.
Well, hold on. We'll bring Jack in. We just talked about the front 3 rows as being where it's a good place to be. Jack starts on row 4. Yeah. Sorry, Jack. Seventh place starting spot for you. I think USF 2000 more than Indy Pro in terms of chaos, right? You guys are veteran drivers. You give each other room. You're not going to see that mid-pack kind of rookie mistake. You guys, obviously, with a lot of experience. P7 starting spot. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this is a very special track with what you guys were talking about, such a long run down into turn one. I'd say most tracks reward qualifying on pole, but this is one track where you're kind of a sitting duck out there.
You are.
But I think I can work from P7. I know a lot of guys in here, they made it through their first lap clean, so hopefully it goes the same way for us.
Well, and the question, too, and I ask all the drivers, right, if you qualify on the pole, it's not that you really had, not always here at this track that you had blindly outright speed. You may have had that magic lap, right? You get 3 big toes here. You can be the slowest driver on the racetrack and qualify on pole because you get the toes. Overall, are you happy with your car on older tires, when we go racing?
I'm extremely happy. We were held up in qualifying, and so that P7 doesn't reflect where I think that the speed is, and
right.
I've been able to in practice pass a lot of cars, which we've seen some good moves in this race.
So wherever you are on the racetrack, keep an eye out for the red number 40. You're saying it's coming to the front?
Red 40 to the front.
Red 40 to the front. The Patterson Dental Machine for Jack William Miller, Miller Vinatieri Motorsports with Exclusive Autosports. Let's talk about that. One of the things, as we're on yellow still, I've talked about this throughout your entire career, the fact that you've been a single car. You've been by yourself. It's just been you with the team. You haven't had that opportunity to overlay the data with somebody else. Your dad, Jack Miller, put the program together with Exclusive Autosport. Now you're in the data debrief room with Louis Foster and whoever it may be, Wyatt Prokachek this weekend. How's that been for you to get a chance to see extra data?
It's been great. I'd gone over a year without seeing anyone else's video or data, and so then finally being able to join a team that runs up front and get the setups and everything like that, it's been huge. And as you can see, like in USF 2000, the Cape team, they're a powerhouse, and you can always expect to see them up front.
Yeah.
But sometimes the single car teams you see struggling a bit.
Let's talk about the race you had at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course. Nowhere to go in the opening race. You get caught up. You start up front in the race number 2. Your teammate actually gets in. You both go out. But you guys had a really strong run in race number 3. Obviously great to finish off the weekend, but to be on the podium in Indianapolis, pretty big too.
Yeah, it was really big for the team and for my sponsors, especially being at home.
Yeah.
That's my home track. I've grown up there, so that place is special.
We're back to green flag racing, and away we go to put lap number 4 in the books. Green flag flies. They come up the front straightaway. Billy Fraser, you mentioned sitting duck, and indeed, here comes Rowe to the outside. Miles Rowe going to go side by side with Fraser as they work their way up now into turn number 1. Back to racing here with still 7 laps remaining. And inside goes Fraser. Outside is Rowe. Little side-by-side run. This will be the big drive down the hill under the bridge back to turn number 3. They got to be smart up front. Fraser still leads. Rowe runs second. D. Orlando in third. Denmark fourth. And Dylan Christie in fifth. Eric, I held my breath for that one because a great opportunity to overtake on a restart like that.
And Miles trying to capitalize on the restart there. Got a great run with a little bit of toe down the straightaway. But again, that's where, in this case, the long straightaway kind of hurt him because he opened the door and Denmark and Orlando kind of started to show their noses inside the mirrors, and that's where contact in turn 5.
Oh, it's Trey Burke involved in that one in the Curb Aga JD and Joe Dueling Autosport car. Front wing of another car coming off. Who was he racing around there? Maybe Jackson Lee or Bajoy Garg? We'll see who it was. There was contact down. You can see the wing on the outside there, so a driver is on the outside of that corner, turn number 5. And that actually might be, that's actually Trey's front wing. So Trey Burke, someone getting into the back of him and around he went. Tough one for Trey, who was running in 7th. What a shame. Best we've seen Trey run, but he'll have another shot to do it this afternoon. Ooh, how you like that battle, Eric, between Denmark in the 23 and Dylan Christie in the 5 side-by-side through the carousel. But again, full course yellow, I'm assuming, for the wing on the racetrack.
Yeah, and you look at a situation like this, I think you get all that energy, all that anticipation for the initial start. You get bound up after lap 1 with a local yellow, and then you're under yellow for 3 laps, and then again the anticipation builds, and you get a little antsy, and I think that's where we see a little anxiety in the middle of the pack. That's the chaos of being mired in the middle.
And the cliche, right? Cautions breed cautions. It happens when you stack them back up. There's that opportunity to overtake, especially down in 5. It's the big run down. And one of the things about 5, we can bring Jack in to talk a little bit about this. What I find interesting about that corner, every time I've driven here, it's a downhill corner. Super, super fast downhill. So you kind of have to lengthen that braking zone, right? Otherwise, you find yourself going off. How tough is it to really maximize braking into turn number 5?
It's definitely a hard thing to judge because you're braking so deep into the turn, and then the track almost comes to you a bit. So you're not braking your car's straight, but the track is not straight there.
Right,
so it even narrows it even further for a passing car.
Is it one of the toughest parts of this racetrack, Jack? If you were to look around all the 14 corners, if there's one corner you're like, man, this is one that took me a long time to get right, is it 5?
I would say so because you immediately go up a hill, so that not only do you have to carry a lot of speed in there and defend from cars behind, but you have to get a good exit, or else you will get killed up going up that hill.
And it's give and take, right? You're like, okay, if I broke a little harder, I'd be able to rotate and get back on the throttle earlier. But the minute you do that, someone's coming up the inside of you.
Yeah, and those outside curbs there are very, very tempting. But if you get too far out on them, then it's you're leaving the door open for a car.
Jack William Miller from Miller Vinatieri Motorsports joining us here in the booth. Rob Howden alongside Eric Miller here, the voice of the Road America facility. And again, another yellow flag, 5 laps in the books. Billy Fraser continues to lead. Miles Rowe challenged him on the restart. He holds on to second. Michael D'Orlando in third. Jace Denmark and Dylan Christie. Denmark in the black 23 and Christie in the blue and white, the number 11 for D-Force Racing, going at it for P4. They were side by side coming into 5. Thomas Naveau has worked his way up into 6th position. Naveau started back in 14th, 8 position advancement for Naveau, who won here last year, so he's had some success here at Road America. Bajoy Garg runs in 7th. 8th is Jackson Lee. 9th is Nicky Hayes. Hayes started deep in the field in 17th. He's up into 9th. So these drivers taking full advantage of the issues. Christian Weir as well up into 10th. And Eric, you were pointing out one of the drivers involved. That it might have been Burke and Johnson that got together. Burke falling to the tail of the field, but as did Nikita Johnson, the young 14-year-old, getting some contact with Burke. Tough. Both those drivers would have had strong top 10 finishes, I think.
Absolutely strong contenders here for a good points position. But you look at the overall flow of this racetrack too, and just the start stop like this, it plays with you a little bit. And going back to your conversation about turn 5 where the contact occurs, that the racetrack seems so wide, coming underneath the bridge, and then you have that little bit of a kink out, and then you kink back in, and under braking, you're looking, at your braking point or marker, whatever you've decided for yourself is going to be your brake point, and the corner's coming right up on you, and it comes up pretty quick. And I think that's where a little bit of times when you're side by side with somebody, it catches you out because you feel like you're getting squeezed a little bit when that little kink comes back to the left. So you kind of adjust and you come to the right, and that's usually where somebody else is going to be parked in your mirror.
Yeah, we've seen that happen many times here where somebody's on the outside or the right side of a driver, and it does open up once you get down into that apex zone, get the thing rotated and back up the hill. And as Jack said, you don't get a good run at turn number 5, someone's going to come up the inside of you into turn number 6, and that's when things get super dicey. Top of the hill, the blind left-hander through 6 over to turn number 7. Field circulating its way around here under yellow for the second time, and we'll have, I believe, 7 laps to go. It'll be 6 to go when we come back to the stripe. I don't know whether or not we're going to go back to green this time by. We'll have a look to see if the pace car does pull off.
Gapping there,
lights look to be out. Yeah, and I think Billy Fraser ready to jump on the loud pedal as he works his way up through Billy Mitchell Bend over to turn number 14. We're going to go back to racing. Indeed, we are. Fraser stacking him up a little bit. Here he jumps on the throttle. Let's see what happens with Miles Rowe again. This is a huge, long straightaway. Great opportunity. He'll drive to the inside to try to break the draft a little bit. Coming up the front straight. Down to the bottom of the racetrack, making Rowe go to the outside. He's got a little bit of gap this time, but again, it's such a long run down to turn 1. Rowe's going to tuck out to driver's left to see if he can't go around the outside. D'Orlando thinking about making it 3 wide. Can't quite hold it. And again, to the outside goes Rowe, he had a pretty good run out there. He may have taken the lead coming down in, I believe indeed. Miles Rowe has gone to P1. So Rowe the leader. Fraser goes into second. D. Orlando third. The D-Force cars of Christie and Nouveau side by side through turn number 3. And man, I don't know if we've ever seen so much side-by-side racing through 3. These guys are aggressive. We're too wide further back as well for about 3 rows. Up front, though, D. Orlando is going at it here now with Billy Fraser. Fraser on the inside, D. Orlando on the outside, side-by-side through that corner as well. 3 wide further back. Wow, 3 wide. Oh, someone up over the top of the rumbles there. That might have been Christian Weir. I'll tell you, elbows up right now here in USF 2000. Miles Rowe using it to stretch away. I think Fraser's gone to P3, and it looks to me like Denmark may have got by Michael D. Orlando.
You know, you look at Rowe's pass on the outside of turn 1, kind of sets that up. But what you're doing is he's squeezing down a little bit at the center of the apex into turn 1, making sure that he's got plenty of racing room. And Fraser kind of tiptoed a little bit into turn 1, and it cost him the spot.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about it. You're a sitting duck. You know, even Jack said it. If you're starting on pole here on a restart, there's a very good chance you're going to get overtaken. It's such a long draft run. You get around the outside. Leader's got to block to the inside. You got to run defensive, which means you're not going to get a good run out of turn number 1 anyways because you've given up that exit. So really right now with lots of time to go, Fraser's just going to settle back in. He's got Denmark right there, but I'll say this. We talked about Pabst Racing, their shop not too far from here in Economilwaukee. This is the track where the Pabst family, Augie Pabst 1, 2, and 3 have all been here before. This is a track they want to win at. They're 1 and 3 right now.
Looking at Rowe's lead, he's kind of pulled a little bit of a gap here. So Fraser maybe holding him up a bit, on that last half a lap before the second yellow. So Rowe able to kind of pull out here. Do you really want to get too far out, by yourself with a freight train behind you here? That's the question with these 3 long straightaways. The toe is an advantage for those in the draft. If you kind of mind the gap a bit, do you want to get too far out?
Well, I talked to Colin Kaminsky. We had him on the pre-show for the race here today, and I asked him, do you want to be P1 on the last lap? He said, I do not want to be P1 because he was here sure. when we had that battle 2 years ago. Daniel Frost, himself, and Devlin DeFrancesco were battling an Indy Pro 2000. Frost had was going to start on pole, but got DQ, started the draft. That was another off for Christian Weir. He's been pushing turn 5 hard. He's the driver that a lap and a half ago went off in turn 5, did the same thing there, way on the other side of the rumbles. Jack, you talked about this. You do not want to go on the far side of those rumbles because there's there's pretty much a ski jump on the outside there as well.
No, they're very enticing, but as you get further off into the rumble strip, they just get more violent, and then you start dropping wheels, and it's just a concoction for something to go wrong.
That's it. Yeah, don't risk it. The risk reward is not there. 7 laps down, 5 laps remaining here in USF 2000. Miles Rowe pulled out to a lead, having hounded Billy Fraser on the 2 consecutive restarts, this time able to make it work around the outside. Fraser tucking back into second. Denmark runs in third. D. Orlando, your point leader, in fourth. Christie runs fifth. Nouveau sixth. 7th, 8th is Bajoy Garg and Jackson Lee. Nikki Hayes in 9th, and Christian Weir rounding out the top 10. There's some contact there. You saw a wing potentially jammed off coming into Canada corner, and that's just someone, Eric, overcooking it into Canada.
Once again, you get a little bit of impatient sitting behind somebody that is holding you up, and you've got that bit in your mouth. But in this situation, you've got to be very careful, especially coming to the inside of that 90-degree corner. That corner feels so much faster than it really is.
Indeed, and that, again, one of those unbelievably crucial corners. Jack, you can talk about this. We talk about the fact how important it is to be fast coming out of 14 on the straightaway, but you got to be quick coming out of Canada. That's what's going to lead for the speed on the front straightaway as well.
Well, and it doesn't look like it, but coming from Canada all the way into turn 14 is like a straightaway because you're flat there, so you can really use it to gain some time and then get a good run out of turn 14.
That's it, and 14 crucial to get the pass done down in turn number 1. The gap between first and second, that last time by with .628, so just over a half a second for Miles Rowe in the 22 over Billy Fraser. Rowe looking to try to win his 3rd race. Victories already at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg and Barber Motorsports Park, coming off a 3rd place finish on the Freedom 75 on the oval at Indianapolis Raceway Park. So Rowe, just like D. Orlando, trying to mount some momentum going into the second second half of the season. And for any driver here as well, Eric, we're talking 2 races here. They'll run again this afternoon. Success in race number 1 is just going to breed the confidence for success in race number 2.
Not only driver in car, but team in driver in car too. So we talked quite a bit about that in the practice session. Michael D'Orlando, though, seems to be getting a little bit anxious out of the exit of 5. The last 2 times now, he's kind of filled Jace Denmark's mirrors with that white car and just trying to pull out a little bit into 6, just trying to, I think, trying to get into Jace's head here as we come to the final 3 laps to go at the stripe.
One of the great battles I'm watching here as well is between Jacob Douglas and the number 90 for Exclusive Autosport, putting a ton of pressure on Nicky Hayes. Douglas, the New Zealander, did not qualify particularly well, but once he got into this race, he has put his head down, and I think he has potentially moved into the top 10. Jacob Douglas, what a great drive for the Exclusive Autosport pilot, trying to work his way from the tail of the field into the top 10.
You know, this is, like Jack said earlier, this is one of those tracks where you feel a little bit more comfortable coming from a couple rows back because it is such a long racetrack, and you've got 14 turns to be able to get it done.
Yeah, there's a big passing opportunity, and then there's always a lot of attrition here, it seems. One thing I wanted to point out is Jackson Lee's been doing a phenomenal job running up in the top 10.
Yeah, best we've seen. We're going to pass to the lead. We'll come back to Jackson in a second. He's starting to put some pressure here on Bajoy Guard, but the leaders are going back at it. They have been able to reel in our leader, Miles Rowe. And look at this. It's Billy Fraser between a couple of Paps cars. Michael D'Orlando right there as well. 3 laps remaining, and we have turned the heat up here on USF 2000. Rowe the leader. There is Billy Fraser. Jace Denmark in the 23 trying to come down the inside into turn number 5. The fight on for the race win. Just a couple of laps still remaining. Fraser down the bottom. Fraser's on the outside, rather. It is Denmark on the inside. Fraser trying to get a better run up. Here goes potentially 3 wide.
3 laps in a row now. Michael D'Orlando is just filling mirrors of the car in front of him to the inside, going up the hill into turn 6.
Jace Denmark finishing the pass on Billy Fraser, so he'll go into second. Fraser back to third. D'Orlando was thinking 3 wide coming up the hill. He'll look to the bottom now, coming into turn number 8. That's a strong move to the bottom. Waiting for the shot on the exit of that corner. Was there contact? There may have been. Yeah, D'Orlando might have went back. Oh, D'Orlando's around. I think that's D'Orlando potentially around coming out of turn number 8, or 7 rather. Oh, that's 8. Hurry downs. He threw that car in the bottom of turn number 8.
That was definitely an aggressive deep dive.
Yeah, and somehow Billy Fraser came out without damage. I was kind of expecting the camera to come over and to see 2 cars involved. I think that might have been your point leader, Michael D'Orlando, going around in 8, because you saw him take a big dive down the bottom. And Eric, mindset, right? Drivers are always saying that I just want to win races. I'll let the championship take care of itself. He comes in here with a 17-point lead, was running P4. Yeah, the guy right behind him was leading the way, but he could have sat back and waited for that battle in front of him to potentially come to a head. If he indeed has fallen to the tail of the field, that's a championship hit.
Well, not only that, but we talked about that 5-pound weight you carry to the gym and you carry it around for 4 hours. You always kind of tell yourself, we're just going to let the points fall where they are. But as the season progresses, that weight gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And I think you're starting to see that pressure that D'Orlando's putting on himself, that I've got to capitalize and make points. And the guy I'm racing with is gaining points on me right now because I'm stuck here. And that causes a little bit of an anxiety. And he's forcing himself into a mistake. You've got to control the chaos a little bit. And that, to me, that certainly means that, for me, he's kind of trying to do the math in his head.
Yeah, there was a lot of open. It was open area down to the bottom, like right. The
door was open.
It was wide, yeah. And again, Fraser's on the outside. He's trying to make a good run through there, threw it down the bottom. I'm looking forward to seeing some video on that one later on. But what this has done is shaken things up quite a bit in the top 10. Move Miles Rowe to the win. I mean, the lead, as we said already. We're going to fight in their hands between these 2 Paps cars because they're essentially locked and loaded. Billy Fraser had to check up big time there, so he's got Dylan Christie behind him. They're going to see if they can't reel in the front-running Paps cars, but they're going to run together until the final lap. So it's Fraser and Christie 3rd and 4th. 5th now is Jackson Lee. Obviously, a good friend here from Jack William Miller. I saw the video, you guys out karting at Newcastle Motorsports Park. That made me happy. I know you guys are good buddies out at Newcastle running karts. Jackson's having a great run here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him do so well. He had some struggles at the beginning of the season, but now you can see he's really coming into form, running in the top 5. And from his standpoint, he's wanting those guys in front of him to start battling.
Exactly that. Yeah. And he's actually getting some really good speed. Last time by, Lee working his way up. He was about 7/10 quicker on the last lap than Dylan Christie, so potentially closing his way up for a shot to battle with Fraser and Christie.
Local yellow down in 12.
Okay, not sure what happened down in Canada Corner, but again, winding down here. White flag will fly this time by. One more lap to go between the two Pabst cars. Rowe versus Denmark. Fraser now runs in third. Christie fourth. Lee fifth. Naveau sixth. Garg seventh. Weir eighth. Jacob Douglas up into ninth from the tail of the field. P9 for Douglas. Spike Kohlbecker into the top 10 as well. Here we go, side by side. The Pabst cars are going to go side by side into turn one. Who's going to take it, Rowe or Denmark? Down to the bottom, I believe that's Denmark, I believe, through to take over the lead. So the two very identical livery cars, 1-2. Denmark goes to the bottom. He'll take the lead down to turn three. Rowe will want this win as well. Good a chance to reel up on D'Orlando, but remember, Denmark back P5, 32 points back coming in. A big point score here would be huge for Jace Denmark as well. Fraser hoping they keep battle. So does Dylan Christie. So does Jackson Lee. He wants these leaders to dice it out down into turn number 5. Again, clean through. I believe that is Denmark with the lead. Fraser, his gearbox being hounded by Christie. Back up the hill. Dylan Christie looking for his first podium. Fraser, though, running strongly there in third spot. But again, Christie right there. Here comes Jackson Lee up. Garg, Naveau, Weir, all right there as well. But what's going to happen between these two Pabst cars? Hard to pick up whether it's Rowe or Denmark in the lead right now. I can't figure it out myself. They're almost exactly the same livery. I think it's Denmark P1.
Believe it's red wing plates, so that would be Denmark in the 23 machine.
Okay, Jace Denmark, little weave coming out of the carousel through the kink, keep her flat. Billy Fraser has a little bit of a gap. Hey, Miller, look at Jackson. He's coming. Jackson Lee is closing up here on Dylan Christie for P4. Hey, maybe you move down into Canada for Jackson Lee, but still not done for the Pabst racing cars. Pabst right there. Lee not close enough. It'll be a drag race to the line. Who's going to win it here in the opening race of 2 for USF 2000? Out of Billy Mitchell Band. One of the Pabst cars is going to the top of the box. Out of 14. Jace Denmark, we believe, ahead of Miles Rowe. But the drag race up the hill, always crucial. Try to break that draft. Looking good so far. Top of the hill. To the line to see who's going to win it here. Not close enough as they come across the line to wrap things up. Jace Denmark, the winner at Road America in race number 1 of the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship. Denmark wins by 0.3 of a second in a Pabst Racing 1-2. Billy Fraser ends up in third. Dylan Christie in fourth. Jackson Lee, best run of the year to P5. Thomas Naveau 6th. Bejoy Garg 7th. Christian Weir 8th. Jacob Douglas from last up into 9th. What a great run for Douglas. Actually started 19th, and he goes up 10 spots to 9th position. And Spike Kohlbecker rounding out the top 10. Both of the turn 3 cars that started deeper in the field on row 8 find themselves up in the top 10.
You know, and with Jace Denmark, he led many of the test sessions on the Thursday test day, but in practice, he was kind of just missing at the front a little bit. He didn't have a whole lot of pace. They were just kind of doing their thing. Not a surprise. Those guys at Pabst Racing know their stuff around this joint.
Wow, I'm telling you, to be able to work to the forefront like they did. Rowe, of course, able to take the lead from Fraser on the restart. Jace Denmark dialing it in as well. Those guys are friends under the paddock, but again, when you put the helmet, the visor down, Jack, you're going racing, right?
Yeah, nobody's your friend out there when the green flag drops.
Jack, I appreciate it. We got to go to Victory Lane. Thank you so much for joining us up here, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Look forward to doing it again sometime.
There you go. Jack William Miller, folks, is going to start 7th inside of row number 4 when we go Indy Pro 2000 racing a little later on here this morning. Eric, I got to hightail it over to Victory Lane. We've got 3 drivers who are going to be pretty excited to be there today.
Pretty excited. I'm sure Pabst Racing going to be even more excited here from Victory Lane at Road America. The USF 2000 Cooper Tires Championship podium celebration up next here from Road America. And then, of course, we've got our next session, Indy Lights qualifying, coming up at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. All right, race fans, it's going to be a fun time. Let's send it down to Rob Howden in Victory Lane.
Thank you so much, Eric, indeed, down here in Victory Lane as we get set to go to award the trophies for the drivers in the Cooper Tires Grand Prix of Road America, powered by Elite Engines. We have guests from Elite Engines who will help us pass out some awards. A pretty solid race there in USF 2000. Man, the last couple of laps were pretty epic. Let's start with the driver coming home in third place today for Exclusive Autosport. Put your hands together for Billy Fraser. And to give Billy his award, Kristen, come on in here, please, and give us a hand here. Kristen Hagopian, going to help us out. Hagopian, pardon me. Kristen Hagopian. I got it right at the second one again, didn't I? Billy Fraser, great run for him again. We'll be back. We're going to do this again, folks, this afternoon. One more time for USF 2000. How about the driver coming home in second spot right now? He was the second place in points coming in. He's going to close up on the point leader. P2 today for Pabst Racing, Miles Rowe. Miles Rowe. Paige Gunning will present the second place trophy to Miles. Thank you, Paige. There are tracks that we go through throughout the season where some teams have maybe a more special meaning. They're attached to that racetrack. This is one of those tracks. Pabst Racing, located in nearby Oconomowoc. They always want to do well here. Pabst Racing 1-2 today in USF 2000. A round of applause for my winner today, Jace Denmark. Jace, you know how important it is to win any race in USF 2000 in a championship where you're trying to win a scholarship, but Pabst Racing would want to win here. 1-2, big for Augie and the team.
Right, hometown win feels great for us. I mean, it's so hard to race your team at a track like this, and the stakes so high speed and everything, but I'm glad that we got together cleanly, you know.
A pretty solid pass for the lead, then he chased you the rest of the time. You said it is so hard to race your teammate, especially in the last lap, going for that race win. You got to give just a little bit extra room.
Right, it's a super high pressure situation, especially for everyone watching on the pit wall for the team. High speed down into turn one pass is just nerve-wracking for everyone.
Who do you want to thank today?
Just everyone who's got me here, my parents, family, all the team, Miles, of course, just everyone that goes into the car.
Congratulations. One more time, round of applause. What a run there for Jace Denmark. And let's bring that first place trophy in here as well. Hannah Zolweg presenting the P1 trophy. Jace won the first race of the year at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, and it is P5 coming into the points. A victory here today, going to tighten up that top 5. Miles, as we said, having a great run. Billy Fraser as well. Trouble for our point leader, Michael D'Orlando. He goes to the tail of the field. Everything tightening up here in the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship. Not much time for these drivers to break, obviously, as we're back at it this afternoon with another race. Both of the events of the doubleheader here at Road America. Yeah, big round of applause. These are the future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series right here. This is where Kyle Kirkwood was just a couple of years ago. And he'll, of course, be racing this weekend with Foyt. Tremendous talent here in USF 2000 this year. A couple of very quick Americans. And, of course, the New Zealander Billy Fraser having a strong season this year as well for Exclusive Autosport. I love the fact that we're going to press the reset button, restack them, and do it all over again this afternoon. We have Indy Pro 2000 coming up as well. 3 Road to Indy races in total on the schedule for today. And then those of you who are trackside here early tomorrow morning, have a nice morning coffee, and we'll fire up Indy Pro 2000 as well for the final event of their doubleheader weekend here at Road America. One of the favorite stops on the road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. Such a challenging racetrack, as we talked about throughout the show. Long straightaways, and of course, all those hard-braking corners. Great opportunity to overtake. And again, I think for the drivers, that's what makes it so special to be able to win here at an iconic facility like Road America. You want to put your name in the history books here in Elkhart Lake. And to kick off our weekend, Jace Denmark, the newest name in the history books. And again, as I said before, what a tremendous way to start the day for Pabst Racing, the legendary name here at Road America. Being able to get P1 and P2 after what was a very hectic race. They could have finished 3rd and 4th as well. That's how tight it was up front, but they ended up working their way to the front. And as Jace Denmark said, it is so hard to race a teammate for a win like that. You don't want to take each other out. That would be the ultimate no-no from the team. And they were able to somehow bring it home. And again, super tightening up the top 5 in points. Jace winning 5th in the points coming in. He was 32 points back. Man, he is with 30 points for a race win. There's going to be an opportunity for him potentially to get up there into the top 3, top 4. It is a tight championship chase. Billy Fraser doing the same thing. He'll work his way up. Super tight up top. So as we do, we'll wrap things up here for the podium presentation, the traditional spraying of the champagne. These guys have to wear their suits again later on today, so I wouldn't suggest dousing each other down in this one. But guys, we are done. Let's celebrate this success, to celebrate the win for Jace Denmark, the champagne spray. Let it rip, boys. And that caps things off here on the Road to Indy TV broadcast. Those of you tuning in at home who are not lucky enough to be trackside here.